Tonight's tactical enhancement is Italian, and I seem to have scoffed this one already. Tonight we're playing Black Seas, 1,000 points, and on one side we have a man in shorts, 4 frigates, 4 brigs, an island in the middle, and on the other side there's another man in shorts. In fact, there's a lot of men in shorts, and we've got 3 third rates and 2 brigs, and we're just about to roll for the wind. And before we do so, can we get a sign off as to the admirals? Who is present and accounted for?
Admiral Emilio.
Oh, Admiral Dave.
Captain Chris.
Why is it with you demoting yourself?
Admiral Luigiano.
I'm not going to call you that. It's too much like hard work after a few beers. And yes, Rear Admiral. I was going to go with Rear Admiral.
Rear Admiral.
Yeah, well, you know, you get your promotions where you can.
Up the rear.
Is that what admire the rear? You just switch it around.
On
the rear.
On that note, we're going to roll for wind direction.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Disregarding 8, 9s, and 10s. No, hang on.
I've got a decent.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, fuck it. Roll. It's a
9 anyway.
So disregard. 8.
So it's coming from right here, going that way. That's convenient. We're not ready because my ship's at the far end of it, so I'll be going last. But aside from that, what we'll do is we'll have a quick bit of manoeuvring because everyone's going to be out of range, and then we'll check in at the end of turn 1. Right, end of turn 1, we've all had a go, and everyone seems to be heading toward the wind without turning directly into it. This did create a problem for these guys, because when they tried to work the way of getting around the island, the minimum movement requirements meant that the only way that was going to happen was by turning directly into the wind, which is a pain in the arse, so they've ended up having to go around the other side of the island. This game requires a lot more thinking well in advance than most of the games where you just decide which direction to point your tank and go for it. But that said, my ships are a long way downwind, and one of them is in danger of hitting the island if I don't turn into the wind, so I've got some thinking to do with mine as well. So we'll move into turn 2 now. I think we'll pretty much be in shooting range at this point, and we'll check in at the end of turn 2 and see if he's copped it in the face. End of turn 2, and things got sporty. Now, the last ships to move at the downwind were these ones, who got a couple of rounds on that thing, knocked its rudder about in exactly the right way for it to go where he wanted to put it anyway.
It took 14 points of damage.
Well, what?
14 points of damage.
Is that what we did to that guy? Wow. Yeah, he did 2 points. That one did all the rest of them. A little bit of damage was done to this, a bit of exchange of fire there. Then 2 ships decided to gang up on this Spanish brig here, and between them they knocked about 12 points off. Now it's worth noting that Lou is shooting very well indeed, whereas Dave's shooting was absolutely woeful, and he only managed to fuck this thing up by being a point blank range. And that ship has no commanders, it can't change direction either. It just happened to be going in exactly the right direction to thread the needle between these 2 brigs.
It's the best position in the game.
So that was fortunate, and some other scattering shot went on. Nothing sunk, nothing struck the colours, so into turn 3. End of turn 3, and my didn't it get busy. These fellas are coming around the back in line. Let's see if we get a nice focus shot there. There we go. Now, the exciting thing was this blighter here. See if we can get him in focus. Oh yeah, too many bits of things on the table. That one, which you can't see in focus properly, sailed right through the middle, broadsided this third rate, put it on fire, broadsided that third rate and put that on fire. Now that one had already activated, so he hasn't been able to put out the fire yet. And it meant that this one had to forego shooting in order to put out the fire and not explode, because I've made that mistake before. The rest of them putted around about a whole lot of shot, went hither and thither. One of the Spanish brigs is gone. It struck the colours. We've actually taken it off. And this frigate here is lost about a third of its points, so it's halfway to a break. And there's bits of damage off of a bunch of other chaps. I don't know what this one's on. It's taking a little bit of damage, but he's probably okay. So we've had a bit of rough and tumble, and it'll be very interesting to see what happens next, because the French have the wind with them, but they're going in the wrong direction. This thing's not going to do much because he's going to have to put out that fire. But these two here, if they don't get set on fire again by these bastards, they're in rather a good position to start blatting the hell out of the French ships. So we'll go into turn 4 and see how it works out. End of turn 5. And a number of French ships have had to go to light sail because they were getting a little congested over here, although they've managed not to crash into each other. Yet. We'll see. Otherwise, these guys came around and blatted away. I even got a rear shot from that one raking fire into this chap. And you know what? I missed with all but one dice. And this guy missed with every goddamn dice. This guy knocked a few points off. Lou decided to prioritise keeping his ship in one piece instead of thousands and thousands of pieces. He succeeded in putting out the fire, but of course he did nothing else this turn. That little blighter snuck around and put out a long-range shot at somebody. So it was a turn of recovering from the clusterfuck of the turn before, and it's getting late, so we're doing one more turn and we'll see what happens. Okay, it's the end of turn 6, I think, if I'm counting correctly. And we're calling it for time. Right, what happened? These guys came around and managed to get some long-range shots off, did a little bit of damage, chipped away at a brig and a frigate. This guy came around the other side of the island and fired at this chap and missed completely. Now... one of these, I think it was this one, was on fire again. That was annoying. They started around and blatted out, and I thought, you know what, I'll take the chance. I won't use the orders because I really want to finish off something more from the French fleet. And I got lucky. We put the thing out. There was a traffic jam over here, and first this frigate crashed into a brig, and the brig crashed into that frigate and took a huge amount of damage. And it was on the other side of that. Then this frigate crashed into the same brig and did a huge amount of damage. And that brig went from having 16 points left to minus 4. And that's how we got our first kill off the French. Then we'd actually hurt some of these ships quite a bit already, but they passed their skills test. Yes, that's the one.
What did you get down to, Chris, for these two? What was the life left?
One of them's on about 54, down from 74. I think that's that one, because they poured a fair bit of fire into that. The other one had taken a little bit. This one had taken about 20, 25 points as well, I think, or something that vicinity. So they're probably about halfway to testing for the colours. But the good news is we dumped a shit ton of fire onto one of the frigates, so we got the down thing down to, I think it was, that frigate there, if I can get the focus to work. This camera seems to want to focus on everything except the target ship. So we got that thing down to, I think, 2 points of hull damage after, 2 third rates blatted it with a bit of support fire from other things. And that one decided to strike the colours.
And survive.
Yes, and if you consider that your frigate is down to its remaining 10% of hull points, you'd probably be thinking now's maybe a good time to pack it in. On that note, it's a fairly close game actually. It came down to the last shot of the last turn, And in fact, the Spanish were losing by just the one brig that they'd lost until the French evened the score by trashing one of their own brigs in a demolition derby. And it was just on the last shot, actually, and the last roll for the colours that that we had enough of a difference to determine a victor. And then we're only ahead on 150 points because frigates are not that expensive. So a very close game, a lot of learning, and whenever you're learning this game, there are collisions. A bunch of us have been playing this now, and when me and Andrew started playing, we were just bashing into each other with frigates all the time. You know, this is a game of manoeuvre and thinking about your manoeuvre a couple of turns in advance. And you've got to be so picky about making sure your ships are pointing in the right direction. You don't accidentally bump them a few mil this way or that way. Everything else pretty much drives itself in this game. So it's all about the wind and your headings and yeah. When you stop somebody else from being able to do what they really want to do, it really ruins their day. Anyway, gentlemen, what have we learned?
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. The island, the game was played differently because of the island this time, I think.
Yep.
It's worth mentioning. Smack bang in the middle of the table, you couldn't avoid it.
No.
It was, yeah. So regardless of which way the wind was going, the island was going to play a factor in the game.
I do think next time we play one, just open seas.
Yep.
Yeah, just open seas.
And I think when Admiral Chris was here, his fleet was to the left,
Yep.
the two brigs and the fifth rate, and they weren't really in the game until the end.
Yeah.
So positioning at the beginning of the game would have been better maybe to go more towards the middle, and we probably could have had more shots out from those ships. The other thing, our game plan was to gang up on at least one of your third rates.
Always.
Well, you did have a pretty good crack at that fella.
Yeah, but that was, and then once he got out, we lost him.
Part of the issue is that we all had the odd turn here and there where we couldn't shoot because of fire, or we couldn't shoot because someone had buggered up a broadside gun, or someone just rolled crap on their dice to hit. And it was turn 2, I think, that a couple of ships just rolled absolute rubbish when they were trying to mob this fella, and that made a large amount of difference to its survival.
And we managed to get 3 fires on your ships, and you got no fires on any of ours. And that could have been a turning point in the game, but you guys seem to have soaked up those fires.
Well, you stopped 2 third rates worth of fire in the same turns by getting those criticals. Although we did do some stuff to frigates that stopped them from shooting for a turn or so.
And also light sails. Handy.
Light sails is handy,
Yes, to slow the collision or manoeuvre out of the way.
See, there's an interesting point that if you've got a small number of ships in the big ships, you're still rolling on the same chart. It's the one ship that's rolling a lot of times on the critical chart rather than a lot of ships rolling once on a chart. So any criticals have that sort of compounded effect. You know, not being able to fire your broadsides of a frigate is nothing like not being able to fire the broadsides of a third rate. So there's definitely benefits to having a mixture of different ship types.
Good.
No, it's a great game.
All right, well, folks, thanks for watching. Feel free to hit like, subscribe, and all that guff. Send us a comment. Oh, look at that. That's trouble, that is. Send us a comment. It does shit to the algorithm. Gets more people watching the show, which is nice. But for now, it's time to call it a night.